The storm rolled across the barren ridge with a force that rattled even the steel-plated shelters used by the scattered patrols of the Frontier Guard. Kai had spent 3 weeks alone on rotation, monitoring the desolate border between the human outposts and the shifting territories once claimed by the great alien clans. Though the war had ended 2 years earlier, the land remained restless, dotted with ruins of cities struck by orbital bombardments and chasms torn open by heavy weapons no one wished to remember. Peace existed, but it was fragile, thin as frost, and Kai's duty was to watch for any sign that the fragile bond might break. His shelter sat half embedded into a cliff face. The structure was old, but he had reinforced it with scavenged plating and a few clever mechanical repairs. The interior held only a cot, a compact stove, a folding table, and a shelf of tools. He kept it tidy, since clutter made the long weeks feel longer. Tonight he expected nothing more than the roar of wind and the hum of the power cell beneath the floor. What he did not expect was the sudden flare of bright light beyond the cliff. The light was sharp, almost blinding, like a fallen star. Kai grabbed his coat and helmet before stepping out into the storm. Cold grit hit him as he shielded his face and moved toward the light. The ground rumbled. A sleek craft, battered and trailing sparks, slammed into the rocky slope and skidded across it before coming to a halt. It was unmistakably alien in design, with curved fins and runes burned into its plating. Kai froze, heart pounding. The clans had not crossed the border since the treaty. If this craft belonged to them, something had gone terribly wrong. He approached with caution. The craft's hatch hissed open, spilling smoke and flickering light. A figure stumbled out, tall and robed in ceremonial armor, more ornate than any he had seen before. Her posture was regal, even in exhaustion, and her eyes glowed faintly with the shimmering hue characteristic of the royal lineage. Kai recognized her immediately, though he had never expected to meet her in person. Mira, the queen of the last surviving clan, the one who had pushed hardest for peace when many of her people wanted only revenge. Her presence here made no sense. She steadied herself against the hull and looked at him. The storm swirled around them, pulling at her cloak, but she did not fall. Her voice carried through the wind with surprising clarity. "Human soldier, I require shelter for the night. My craft is damaged, and the storm will only worsen." Kai hesitated. Protocol demanded caution. She was a sovereign figure with unknown intentions. Yet her craft was clearly failing, and leaving her in the storm would be wrong. He stepped forward and offered his arm. She regarded him for a moment before accepting his support with quiet dignity. Inside the shelter, the warmth returned slowly as Kai sealed the door behind them. Mira surveyed the room with calm interest. She moved with the bearing of a ruler, even while brushing soot from her armor. "This place of yours is simple but sturdy." Kai nodded. "It's meant for survival, not comfort." She inclined her head. "Survival is a worthy purpose." He set his pack aside and turned to her. "Are you injured? Only fatigued?" Her gaze softened. "Your concern is noted." Kai was unsure how to respond. He was speaking with a queen, yet her tone made the moment feel strangely ordinary, as if she were a traveler seeking refuge. He motioned toward the cot. "You can rest there. I will sit by the door." She looked at the cot, then at him, and shook her head lightly. "You will rest as well. I am not here to command you. I am here because I had no other choice." Kai pulled over the folding chair. "I'll stay alert." Myra accepted this without argument. She removed the outer layer of her ceremonial armor, revealing a lighter suit beneath, elegant and practical. Though she moved with confidence, he could see the strain in her shoulders. She sat on the edge of the cot and exhaled slowly. Kai busied himself with checking the stove and adjusting the power cell. When he offered her a heated drink, she accepted with gratitude that the storm battered the shelter throughout the night, shaking its panels and sending howls through the narrow vents. Myra watched the flickering stove flame, her expression distant. "You wonder why I am here." Kai straightened. "It crossed my mind. My craft malfunctioned during a diplomatic journey. I intended to visit one of the outer stations to oversee a cooperative project. Instead, the engines failed over this wasteland." She sipped the drink. "It seems fate decided I should meet you tonight." Kai managed a cautious smile. "I don't think fate knows my name. Perhaps not." Myra studied him. "But I know something of your people. You are trained, disciplined, and resourceful. You speak with respect, even when surprised." "It is enough." Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, simply quiet. Kai had spent many nights alone, but this night felt strangely vivid, as if the presence of another mind turned each sound and shadow into something meaningful. After a while, Mira spoke again. "When the treaty was signed, some on my council believed it signaled weakness. They wanted conflict to continue. They believed that cooperation with humans would reduce us. Yet I saw something different." Kai turned toward her. "What did you see?" "A species determined to rise beyond its limits." She set her hands on her knees. "Humans have fallen many times, yet you adapt. You persevere. That is why peace was possible." Kai rubbed the back of his neck. "Most of us just want to live without fear. That desire is powerful." Her voice warmed. "More powerful than conquest." The storm thundered overhead like distant artillery. They sat together listening to it dot as time passed. Mira's posture relaxed. She placed one hand on the cot, steadying herself. "This planet holds scars. I can feel them. The land remembers battles long past." Kai glanced toward the wall. "Sometimes I think the ground itself is tired. Then let it rest." She looked at him. "As should you. I'll rest after the storm." "You fear that I am unsafe here." She tilted her head. "Or perhaps you fear that you are not adequate to guard me." Kai flushed slightly. "I'm just doing my job. You do it well." Her tone held no judgment, only calm recognition. She leaned back and closed her eyes. Kai watched her for a moment before turning away to give her space. Her breathing evened out as she settled into a restful state. It struck him how strange it was that a queen trusted a lone soldier enough to sleep in his shelter. Hours passed. Kai dozed lightly in the chair. When the stove flickered, he rose to adjust it, careful not to make noise. Myra stirred and opened her eyes. "You remain vigilant." He shrugged. "Habit." She looked at him thoughtfully. "Tell me something of your life. A story you do not mind sharing." Kai hesitated. "I grew up near a river. It was quiet. I enlisted to protect my home. That's all. A simple truth." She nodded. "And a respectable one. What about you?" Myra's gaze turned inward. "I was not meant to rule. My sister held the title before me. She led with strength, but not patience. When the war began to tear our people apart, she was lost. I inherited her burden. I chose a different path." Kai softened his voice. "You chose peace." "Yes." Her eyes steadied on him. "Some viewed it as betrayal. Others saw it as hope. What do you see it as?" "A necessity for survival. My people would not endure endless war. Neither would yours." Kai understood more than she realized. Many soldiers carried memories they wished to forget. He had seen entire units lost, seen civilians run from fires that overtook cities, seen the aftermath of a fleet bombardment that erased a valley. Peace was not a luxury. It was vital. The storm slowly weakened. The wind became a long murmur instead of a roar. Myra rose from the cot and approached the small window set into the metal wall. The night is changing. Kai joined her. The storm might end by morning. She glanced at him. And I will depart when it does. He felt an unexpected flicker of disappointment. He pushed it aside. I can help repair your craft. I would welcome that. She stepped back from the window. But before that, I must say something. Kai braced himself, uncertain. Tonight, Myra said, I chose to stay here, not only because the storm left me no choice. I chose to remain because I wish to understand the nature of those who guard the border. I wish to see with my own eyes what sort of human serves alone in such harsh places. Kai frowned. Why does that matter? Because unity cannot remain abstract. It must be lived. Her voice softened. I wish to know if the peace I fought for holds value in the smallest shelters and the loneliest stations. Kai looked around the modest room. This place isn't much. It is honest. She met his eyes. And so are you. A quiet settled between them again, but this time it felt warmer. Mira returned to the cot and took a slow breath. Kai, she said, using his name with deliberate care. I will remain awake a little longer. There is something else I wish to discuss. Go ahead. My people consider strength and honor to be essential, but they also believe that bonds formed in hardship reveal character. Tonight we shared shelter in a storm. In such moments a connection is formed, whether or not we seek it. Kai sat across from her. What kind of connection? One of trust. She folded her hands. And mutual respect. Kai weighed her words. I respect what you've done for peace, and I respect your role in defending it. She held his gaze. That is why I am here. That is why I chose to stay. The stove's flame dimmed. Kai rose to feed it another fuel cell. Myra watched him with quiet appreciation. The room filled with renewed warmth. When he sat again, she spoke once more. The councils will ask why I stayed the night in a human shelter. They will wonder what occurred here. You can tell them the truth. I will. A faint smile touched her expression. I found safety. I found honesty. I found a reminder that peace is worth every challenge. The storm outside gradually faded into silence. Dawn light began to appear through the cracks in the cliffs. Pale but steady, Mira stood and approached the door. Shall we examine the craft? Kai nodded. Together they stepped into the calm morning. The ground was wet, the air cold but clear. Myra's craft sat slightly tilted, its hull scratched and scorched. Kai examined the damage. The main engine is burnt out. You won't fly far without more repairs. I trust your assessment. He gathered tools from the shelter, and they worked together in measured silence. Mira proved capable of mechanical components, and Kai found himself impressed by her precision. Hours passed as they cleaned wiring, sealed fractures, and reconnected essential systems. When the craft powered back on with a steady hum, Myra looked at Kai. You have given me more than shelter. You have given me safe passage forward. Kai stepped back. It was the right thing to do. She regarded him with a calm intensity. Remember this night, Kai, as I will. He nodded. Myra stepped toward the craft's hatch, but paused. If you ever require aid, speak my name at any Allied outpost. They will send word to me. That's not necessary. It is offered regardless. She entered the craft, and the engines rose with a gentle vibration. Kai watched as it lifted, hovered, then soared toward the horizon. The morning sun broke fully across the ridge. Kai returned to the shelter, feeling the space somehow changed. It was still small, still quiet, still lonely, but it held the memory of a night when a queen trusted a soldier and peace felt more real than ever before. Kai sat in his chair and breathed in the settling calm. The storm had passed. A new day stretched before him. And though he knew the next patrol might be long and uneventful, he carried with him the certainty that even in the vast distance between species, respect could bridge every divide. He adjusted his gear, checked his instruments, and resumed his post with renewed purpose, because he knew now that someone across the stars believed in the same future he guarded, and that knowledge would stay with him. Steady as the dawn,